Once upon a time, along the rugged medieval shores where salt winds tangled themselves into the sails of passing ships, and the cries of gulls echoed against the cliffs, there existed a story that few dared to speak aloud. It was the tale of a hidden kitchen, a secret sanctuary tucked away from prying eyes, where history, myth, and the culinary arts wove themselves into one. This place belonged not to kings nor knights, not to lords or soldiers, but to a maiden whose presence changed the rhythm of a coastal town forever. Her name has been forgotten by records, erased by wars and storms, yet whispered by the waves that never cease their restless dance. Today, we journey back through the chronicle of the maiden and her hidden kitchen, to a time when survival was art, food was ritual, and secrecy was salvation. In a small village at the edge of the northern sea, life was hard and unforgiving. Fishermen rose before dawn, their nets frozen with salt and spray, while women waited on shore to mend sails, tend children, and barter scarce goods at the open market. Amid this hardship, the maiden was unlike the rest. She had no noble title, no dowry to her name, and no father left to arrange her fate. She lived in the shadow of the ruined abbey, where whispers claimed she had discovered a chamber carved deep into the rock. A chamber that had once belonged to monks but was now hers alone. No villager had ever seen the door, for it was disguised by ivy and sea moss, and only she knew the trick to push the stone aside and enter. Inside was her hidden kitchen, a place where firelight flickered against ancient walls, where herbs hung from the ceiling, where bread baked on stone hearths, and cauldrons simmered with scents that drifted like enchantments into the cold night air. But what made this kitchen extraordinary was not just its secrecy, was the food that emerged from it. The maiden was said to understand flavors as others understood prayers. She blended common herbs like rosemary and sage with sea fennel plucked from the cliffs, wild garlic from the woods, and rare spices brought by traders who never stayed long. Her meals carried warmth that could heal the sick, strength that could fortify the weak, and calm that could soothe the grieving. Sailors swore her broth steadied them before storms. Mothers claimed her bread silenced hunger cries, and old men said her wine gave them back the dreams of their youth. Some believed she was blessed by saints, others that she was a witch weaving spells with ladles and knives. The chronicle tells us of one winter when famine threatened the village. Crops had failed, fishing boats were lost to violent gales, and hunger haunted every home. The maiden did not stand idle. Each night she entered her hidden kitchen and worked by torchlight, gathering what little remained: barley, dried beans, dried fish, even seaweed, and transformed them into dishes that seemed impossibly rich. She shared these meals quietly, never asking for coin or thanks, slipping bowls into doorways and baskets onto porches, leaving bread by the market stalls at dawn. Families survived that winter not because of the lords in their stone keeps, but because of the unseen hand of the maiden. Her kitchen was never revealed, yet its gifts were undeniable. As with all tales of wonder, word spread beyond the shore. Merchants, hearing of miraculous meals, sought her out. Some offered gold, others tried to bribe her for recipes, yet she refused them, never breaking her silence, never revealing her hidden place. Knights and clerics debated whether her acts were holy charity or dangerous sorcery. The chronicle speaks of one friar who accused her of witchcraft, warning that food so restorative could only be born of dark bargains. Yet when sickness later struck him, it was her broth that restored his breath. From that day, even he lowered his voice when he spoke her name. But not all stories in the chronicle are kind. Envy crept into the hearts of those who saw her power. A local reeve, jealous that she held more loyalty than he, declared that the maiden was hoarding wealth and plotted to expose her. He set spies upon her, men who followed her steps at dusk, listening for the sound of her hearth. Yet no matter how they searched, the kitchen eluded them, hidden by centuries of stonework and her quiet cunning. Frustrated, the reeve swore that if he could not find the source of her gifts, he would destroy her instead. One night he confronted her in the square, demanding she reveal her secrets. The chronicle says she did not tremble, nor speak in her defense. She only looked to the sea and let the waves answer in their eternal roar. Legend holds that the maiden vanished soon after. Some say she was taken by the tides, walking barefoot into the foam until the sea swallowed her whole. Others believe she sealed the kitchen behind stone, locking its firelight forever, and disappeared inland where no one could follow. Yet on certain nights, when the wind carries the scent of rosemary and salt, villagers claim they can still smell her bread drifting through the ruins of the abbey. And when storms rise fierce, some fishermen swear they see a torch glowing faintly among the rocks, guiding them safely home. What makes the chronicle enduring is not just its mystery but its truth wrapped in myth. Medieval shores were places of hunger, struggle, and resilience, Kitchens were not merely rooms of cooking, they were the very hearts of survival. For a maiden to guard one in secret was to guard life itself. Her hidden kitchen may never be found, yet the echoes of her craft remain. Modern historians have even tried to trace her existence, finding fragments of manuscripts that mention charitable meals, fragments of pottery marked with strange herbs, and carvings in the abbey walls depicting a woman holding both a loaf of bread and a lantern. Whether she was saint, sorceress, or simple villager, her story reminds us that survival often depends not on thrones or armies, but on the quiet work of unseen hands. Imagine walking those same cliffs today. The waves crash just as they did centuries ago. The gulls wheel overhead, and the ruins still brood over the shore. You might step where she once stepped, brushing aside ivy and wondering if behind one of those stones lies a passageway leading down into the earth. You might breathe in the sea air, and almost catch a whiff of spice or smoke, as if her kitchen is still working somewhere beneath your feet. It is not just fantasy but a living reminder that even the humblest places hold power when love and craft are poured into them. The hidden kitchen of the maiden is more than a medieval curiosity. It is a chronicle of how one person's devotion to food, to people, to life itself can ripple through centuries. Each retelling renews her legend, each listener carries her memory further, and each meal shared in warmth and kindness is a continuation of her work. The Chronicle asks us to consider what kitchens we keep hidden, what acts of quiet generosity we might offer without recognition, and how history often belongs as much to the nameless as to the crowned. So as you listen to this tale, let the image linger: a flickering torch in a hidden chamber, a maiden stirring a pot that steams with herbs and hope, a shoreline that keeps her secrets but whispers her story in the language of the sea. The chronicle may be incomplete, but it leaves us with something greater than facts: the enduring flavor of kindness, the recipe of resilience, and the reminder that the greatest power often works unseen, in places hidden but never forgotten.